Hey friends, Lisa Shaw with LisaShawCares.com, and I'm looking forward to sharing a quick message with you. This is especially for the women, but any of the fellas are welcome to listen in as well, and I hope all of you will be encouraged. You know, God birthed you with purpose. I know we hear that. All of us that are in the church community, all of us that love God, we've heard that, but it's the truth. God got you here. It doesn't matter the circumstances in which you came here. I didn't come in the best of circumstances either, but God got me here. And God got you here. And He brought us here with a divine purpose. There is something specific that God has purposed you to do. There is something specific that God has purposed me to do. Now, we are created in His image, and we are created to worship Him. We are created to love Him, to worship Him in spirit and in truth, right? And to share the light of His Son, Jesus, in this world. Absolutely. We were created to do that. But God also created us to have relationship with Him. He also created us to have relationship with one another. God is all about family. And families look very different. Sometimes it's a father, mother, and children in the house. Sometimes it's a single mom. I've been there. I've been married 33 years and counting now. We raised our children. We have grandchildren. But I once was a single mom. So sometimes family looks like that. Sometimes family is a single mom, a single dad. Sometimes it's grandparents raising their grandchildren. There's a variety of how family may look. However, God is about family. He's about us loving each other. And He also brought us here with divine purpose. There's something God put in you that He didn't put in me. There's a way that you talk, a way that you smile, a way that you think, a way that you process, a way that you serve, a way that you work that's going to be different from me, that's going to be different from others. We need to embrace that about each other. We need to embrace the differences in our culture. We need to embrace the differences in our style, in our look. You may not be a wig girl, but I am, and I got hair up under here. It's okay. We should be able to embrace each other and our different styles, our different cultures. You may pray in a whisper. I may pray in a shout. It's okay. God created us all equal, but He created us all differently, uniquely different. And that's okay. That's okay. And here's what I want to remind you of. You are here for such a time as this. You are alive in this time, in this season of your life for a divine purpose, for a reason that God alone knows and reveals to you as you worship Him, as you pray to Him, as you seek His face, as you pursue God, as you pursue His righteousness. Remember what He said in Matthew 6:33. I love Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom and its righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. And so as long as we're seeking God, as long as we're seeking His righteousness, as long as we are putting God first, He'll take care of everything else that's going on with us, including revealing to us whatever it is that we need to know. You know, I love Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 1, God makes it very clear that He knew Jeremiah before the womb. Well, same thing is true of you. Same thing is true of me. I love that He had a divine plan and purpose for Jeremiah. Now, Jeremiah had a hard walk. He had a hard road, but God's heart and hand was with him every step of the way. When David was out in the fields and he was tending to the cattle, I'm sure he wasn't thinking, one day I'm going to be king. I'm sure he wasn't thinking that, but God knew. God had a plan and a purpose. Sometimes we let people dictate to us who we are or how we should be or how we should show up in the earth. Or sometimes we don't allow them to dictate, but sometimes we allow the insecurities or weaknesses of people to kind of restrict us from how God wants us to show up in the earth. If that's you, I want to invite you to stop doing that. Allow God to use you the way He wants to use you. Look at Esther. I'm sure she had no idea that one day her whole world was going to be turned upside down. and that she was going to be the one that was going to be used by God to save the Jews. Let me tell you, there's something about fasting and praying and knowing who you are in God and being able to approach a situation that might even mean your peril, but you approach it knowing, I have fasted, I have prayed, I trust God, I'm moving forward. If I die, I die. In today's language, it would be, I'm going to fast and pray through this situation that I'm dealing with on the job, in the business, in the church, in the family. I'm going to fast, I'm going to pray through it, and then I'm going to approach it with my whole heart in it, and whatever happens, happens, because I'm going to trust God through the situation. We've got to get back to faith talk and back to faith walking. We've got to get back to being courageous, being strong and courageous. It's okay to say you're afraid. When did that become a sin? When did it become a sin to say, you know what? I'm afraid of that. Where we don't want to land is saying we're afraid and then allowing fear to keep you trapped, right? We don't want to do that. But I love that God knew when he said to Joshua, be strong and courageous. He knew this was a heavy mantle on Joshua. All right, he was going to pick up from where Moses left off, and he was going to lead God's people into the promised land. After Moses had to go around and around and around, 40 years in the wilderness on what should have been an 11-day journey. Come on, leading people is not for cowards. That's just a side note. You got to love people. I often say one of the things seriously that I teach and coach is that Ellen leadership is love. And I've been teaching and coaching that for probably about 16, 20 years now. You've got to love people. If you feel you've been called into leadership, then you've been called to love. You've been called to love, because leadership is not about ordering people around, changing their language, forcing them to think how you want to think. That's not what leadership is. Leadership is not hammering down on people, gaveling down on people, being forceful with people or not wanting to hear people. No, leadership is love. Leadership is loving people. Leadership is equipping people and edifying people, and yes, holding people accountable. Grace, speaking grace laced, truth laced with grace. So important. Let me get back to what I'm here to talk about today. That was just a side note. I am a strong advocate for women soaring. I'm an advocate for men and children soaring too, but my heart is really connected to women, because I was a woman, a young woman who was struggling, who was wounded. Yes, serving in leadership, serving in the things of God, but I was struggling, and I was a wounded Christian, coming from a background of being abused at home, being mistreated by men, dealing with all the things that I dealt with, betrayal from so-called friendships with women, having my body violated, having gone through a lot. I know what it is to struggle with trust. I know what it is to struggle with fear, because I grew up in a fear-based lifestyle, but I also know what it is to be free. I know what it is to stand on your convictions. I know what it is not to permit people to take advantage of you. I know what it is to be healed in your heart. I know what it is to love people and give them a level of trust that they really need to earn, but sometimes you give it to them anyway. I know what it means to do that. I know what it means to link arms with people. I know what it is to hug people and genuinely embrace them and say, you know what? It doesn't matter what I've gone through, right? I'm here to help you to go through. I know what it is to be. I know what it is to have a song in your heart. I know what it is to have a book you want to get out. I know what it is to want to serve God and what he's called you to do and how he's called you to do it. I also know what it is how it feels when people restrict you, when they don't get you, when they don't understand how you flow, or maybe they're just looking past you because they just are missing the blessing that you can bring to them. Maybe they're looking for a certain style, a certain culture, a certain way of being, a certain look, a certain sound. I don't know. I don't know what it could be. Maybe you know if you're in that situation. But here's what I do know. I know that God looks down from heaven and says, you're my child. I knew you before the womb. You are fearfully and wonderfully made in my image. You are my workmanship. You are my everlasting love. I loved you with my whole heart. I sing over you, daughter. I rejoice over you. I put purpose in you. I put my gifts in you. I put my love in you. I saturate you in my presence. My joy is your strength. Come on. You got to know that God is ministering to you and speaking life into you because he has a plan and a purpose for you. And let me tell you, when he decided that, he didn't bring people alongside of him and say, let me tell you the plan and purpose that I have for her. So don't expect people to get you. You might be a little too much for some. That's okay. What it is really that they don't have the bandwidth to hold you. And that's okay. For others, you're going to be right in step with them, able to bless them, able to love on them, able to push them forward as well. And that's going to be great too. Make sure that you know and believe that you are here for such a time as this. Whatever it is that's going on the inside of your spirit, you know what it is that's pulling you forward. You know the Holy Spirit is saying, come on, get up off the sidelines. Stop looking at your inadequacies and look at my presence in you. Come on, you know what it is that you sat down on the sidelines and said, never gonna happen. Go get it. Go pick that dream back up. Go pick that vision back up. Be careful who you share it with, because not everybody really is for you. Be careful who you share it with, but find somebody that will grab a hold of your hand and say, girl, I'm with you. Yeah, I can see God using you to do that. Come on, get busy. What do you need from me? How can I help you? How can I walk you through this? How can I support you through it? But be that for her too. Don't expect to be supported when you won't offer support. We do reap what we sow. The people that support me, I am blessed that they support me. Not everyone supports me, even those that I may support, but that's okay. God sends who I need when I need them. He'll do the same for you. Now I'm going to tell you something that my grandmother used to say to me as I close out this video. Go forth with courage and serve the Lord, wherever it is. If it's on your job, if you're building a business, if God has blessed you with your own ministry, if you're serving in a church, a place of worship, whatever it is, if you're serving in the medical field, in academics, education, wherever you are, if you're a security guard, if you're a janitor, if you're a teacher, if you're a doctor, a lawyer, a pastor, a leader of some sort, if you're a boss, a manager, a supervisor, whatever, if you're a communicator, a speaker, whatever it is, go do it with excellence and good character unto the Lord. This is Lisa Shaw with LisaShawCares.com, and I hope that I said something today that God will use to really stir you up and get you moving in the right direction. Time is of the essence. It really is. That's not just a saying. God bless you.